What's up, YouTube? It's your girl, Michaela Monique, and that's Michaela, like Michaela, not your Kayla, but Michaela. So now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna get into today's video, which is gonna be avoiding mistakes when renting your first apartment. Woo! When I think about before I moved out, when I tell you, baby, I didn't know anything. Okay, one of the first mistakes I made had to do with the washing machine. I didn't know that you had to take the lint out of the washing machine between every wash. But we're gonna get into all of that another day. But what I really wanted to talk about was mistakes to avoid as far as lease agreements, saving up money, managing your bills when it comes to managing an apartment. So let's go ahead and get into it. Over the past 5 years, I have lived in 4 different apartments. So that means I have signed 4 different lease agreements. And I'm gonna give you the spill on everything when it comes to managing those. So the first mistake, and I wanna say the biggest mistake when it comes to renting your own apartment, is paying more rent than you can actually afford. Okay, we have to cover this first. There's been a big trend online about forging your pay stubs, cheating your way through the system to show that you can afford the apartment, even though you actually don't qualify. And I just want to completely debunk that for many, many reasons. Let's talk about why apartments are requiring you to make 3 times the rent. It's not to be mean, it's not to X you out, it's not to have a secret society and be like you can't get in, but it's to make sure that you can actually afford the apartment and the expenses that it comes with of living on your own before you even move in. So the rule of thumb is to spend 30% or less on your rent or mortgage to be in a comfortable state to where you can enjoy everything else in life. And that's talking about transportation, travel, eating out, whatever it is that you want. Because one thing that we're not going to do when we move out is be house poor. We're not staying at home. We're not enjoying life because we have bills that are too high. So it's important that before you even move out, that you make a budget for your entire lifestyle and make sure that the apartment fits in it. Now, if you find that the apartment is charging too much and it's not working out for your budget, it's time to look at some different options or to look at some other ways to make money. That way you can afford the place that you actually have your eye on. Now, the second mistake I want to talk about is not reading the lease in detail. So a lease is a legal binding agreement. Like, it's you and then the apartment or the landlord. And if one person doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, y'all can take it to court. So a lease is going to completely outline what your responsibilities are, as well as the apartments, to keep up maintenance, to keep up the community, to provide whatever it is that you need for your apartment stay. But at the same time, there are things that we have to keep up our end of the bargain as well, such as not damaging the property, paying our rent on time to avoid late fees, and other things like that. So in the lease agreement, one tip that I always have is to see if the landlord or the apartment complex will let you take the lease home before you sign it. That way you can sleep on it. You can really read the fine print. Some apartment complexes are really cool like that, where they will let you take it home. That way, if you have any questions or you need to make any changes, you can do so before you sign. Now, the worst thing you can do is to get there and they tell you sign here, sign here, sign here, and then you don't read it at all, and you find out later on that there are other fees associated with you moving in or moving out. Some of these fees might include anything from a pet fee. Yes, they can charge you if you decide to bring in a pet and you don't tell them. They will charge you the pet fee and even more for not being upfront about it. And then other things such as a subletting fee, which has to do with when you're moving out if you're not fulfilling your entire lease. So let's say, for example, you have a 13-month lease, but something comes up, you need to move out 7 months in. There's a fee that's associated with you paying a certain amount of your rent that's left for the year in order to move out. Contrary to popular belief, you can't just up and go whenever you want, unless you're doing a month-to-month lease, and a lot of times rent is a lot higher that way. So keep that in mind. The lease agreement will also go over things like what you're allowed to change in the apartment, if you're allowed to paint walls, hang things up, drill holes, and things of that sort. Okay, so the third mistake to avoid when moving out on your own is furnishing too fast. I absolutely loved and embraced moving out for the first time and literally sleeping on an air mattress in my living room. Like, there's such a humble, exciting feeling that you get of like, this is all mine. Like, I don't care if I'm working with a blank slate. This is all mine and I'm on my own. One thing that you want to keep in mind is that, first of all, you're going to learn real quick that furniture is very, very expensive. Like, if you haven't looked up how much a rug costs yet, I think you should look it up because I was taken aback at how much a simple piece of decor really costs. One thing you can do is really plan out your furnishings. It's not imperative for you to completely deck out your place as soon as you get it. 9 times out of 10, your style will change over time and it's not a race. Like, it's better to get quality pieces that you're actually gonna love and use long term than to buy a bunch of items that you're probably gonna be throwing out in the next few months because you realize that you don't actually like it. So take your time, really shop around, start with the basics, and then go from there. Before I move on to my next tip, this is an overall concept around moving into your first apartment, but if you want the exact template that I use every time I'm looking for an apartment, make sure you check out my Apartment Hunting 101 ebook, which is gonna go over pre-move-in budget, a list of must-haves that you need for your place, how to boost your credit score before moving in, and so much more. The link is going to be down in the description box. Now on to the next tip. So the fourth mistake to avoid is going to be budgeting for the apartment but not the upkeep. Y'all seen that meme where T.I. is cutting off all the lights in the house? Yes, that's exactly what it's like when you finally start paying your own bills because you're like, I didn't know this cost so much. And things can really add up really fast. So it's important to know for a fact how much everything is going to cost. Of course, you won't know exactly how much your electric bill is going to be, but you can get a ballpark by Googling, by shopping around for different companies and figuring out how much you're actually going to be paying a month. You want to make sure that you can afford your rent, but also the other things in your life that are just as important, such as traveling, eating out, spending time with friends, shopping for clothes, any type of business or passion project that you have. So if, for example, you make $2,000 a month, but then your rent is $1,500, that doesn't really give you much room on the rest of your expenses. Okay, so my very last tip is gonna be not using trustworthy movers. Okay, when it comes to movers, there's two ways you can do it, and I've done both. You can hire your friends and family and pay them in pizza, is what they call it. Or you can go the professional route and hire a moving company to help you move your things from point A to point B. Now, whatever method that you decide is totally fine. Just make sure that you trust the people to move your belongings because they literally will have your life in their hands. Now, from experience, I have had quite a few things broken during the moving process, such as a desk. I've seen a friend have a TV broken, mirror broken, drawers, all types of things. And these are things that you have to replace. Make sure that you're wrapping things properly, but then also having people that are actually going to cherish your belongings help you move. I know your parents probably tell you you're going to regret these bills when you move out, but it's really not that scary, especially if you prepare. So I hope this video has helped you guys in some way. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.